Hi guys, and welcome back to the Big Sew Along. Today is the 1st of June, and so I wanted to be sure and remind you all about a challenge over on Instagram being sponsored, I guess, by Joei. I will link to her YouTube channel below, but the deal is you sew a t-shirt. Let's see. T-shirts for summer 2021, the 1st through the 30th of June. The rules are as follows. So a t-shirt or t-shirt dress. Post your make between the 1st and the 30th of June on Instagram. Use the hashtag t-shirt for summer 2021 and tag @SewJoei with your post. And I will link for her below. But before we get to our sew along today, I just wanted to remember that. And I wanted to tell you guys that I will not be doing a sew along for Tuesday, June 15th. I'm going to be at that wedding in Kentucky the week before that, so I just won't have time to get anything finished. But I will be doing a sew along for June 18th. Friday, June 18th. I won't be doing a Friday sews that day, but I will have a sew along, and that sew along will be something that is not currently in our queue. I'm doing a little special sew along for Joei's t-shirt contest. I am going to be sewing Trish Newberry's Metro t-shirt dress, and Trish Newberry has very generously offered us a 25% discount on that pattern. The code you want to use to get that 25% discount is Big Sew, BIGSEW, all capital letters. I will link to her shop below. It is the Metro t-shirt dress, and yeah, I think it's going to be really fun, you guys, so please check that out and sew along with me on the 18th. Okay, now for today we are sewing, what are we sewing today? We are sewing a Tom and Linda Platt shirt. It is Vogue 1665. This pattern actually comes with a, I'm going to say knee-length straight skirt and also a slim cut ankle-length pant. They both have zippers up the back. It looks like the pants have center front and center back seams. The skirt is straight in the front but has center back, sort of like princess line seams in the back. We're not sewing either of those, but just so you know what else is in the pattern. What we are sewing is this asymmetric top, and let's see here, sizing on this is, the waist doesn't really matter because it's very full in the waist, but I'll give you the bust and the hip. The bust goes from a 30.5 to a 44. This is not very big, Vogue. And, sorry, the hips, 32.5 to 46. Now for, let's see. That's interesting. So the fabrics they suggest are crepe, ponte, crepe back satin, rayon challis. I actually used a mid-heavyweight, it's a mid-weight linen, for this one. And let's see, for A, which is the top, for the size I made, which is a 14, either 45-inch or 60-inch fabric will require 2 3/4 yards. Sorry, my vision's not what it used to be. Okay, here's the thing though. This piece, this main pattern piece is really wide, so even if you have, and it's because there's no seam on one side, so it's the front and the back lay out like this, and then you fold it together like that, which means that your pattern piece is really wide. You're not going to get it even on a 60-inch piece of fabric. You have to turn it sideways, so you're sewing it on the cross grain, the lengthwise grain, not the side to side grain. That's a little confusing, but anyway, so the thing is, just be aware of that. So when you're buying a fabric, you don't get something that you think the pattern is going to go up and down. It's really going to go sideways. Also, you don't want to do something with like a nap, like a velvet or something for this, because the nap will be going sideways, I think. Anyways, let's see. Does it say that? I don't know. It has a with nap layout, I guess. Unsuitable for obvious diagonals. Again, just be aware that it's cut sideways. Okay, so this is not a difficult pattern at all. So I don't actually have any sewing notes on this one that you should be aware of. I'm just going to send you over to the tutorial, and then we'll come back and chat some more. Okay, before we get started on sewing, I just want to go over this pattern piece with you. There's one piece. It's really large, just so you can see it. This side right here is cut on the fold. That's the top up there. So this is the fold. From here all the way over to this first notch here, or dot actually, is your hem. So that's the body opening. Then from this dot to this dot over here is the underarm seam. From this dot to this corner is your armhole. This corner all the way up to this corner is your shoulder seam. This curve right here is your neck hole. Then you have another shoulder seam that starts here and goes over to this dot here. From this dot to this corner is another armhole. And then from this corner all along the fold is the other side. I hope that makes sense, but just so you can see, it's cut on the fold here. The neck is over here. So it's going to be on a bias. This straight line right here is the center front. So this is our pattern piece. This over here is our fold. And you can see, hopefully, I have serged off all the perimeter, the whole raw edge of my top. This is the neck hole. And you can see I serged that as well. Now, you don't need to do that, but I will say that if you have a nice serging line there, it makes it really easy to press under. So I serged the entire thing. The other thing I did was just to keep myself from getting confused, because it's an odd shape and it's kind of big, I put a pin on the wrong side of my top towards the neckline, so I would know where the neck was. I only did that on one side because once you fold it in half, they line up with each other. Now, after you do your serging on the whole thing, what we're going to do is this neckline, and all we're going to do is we're going to fold it under 1/4 of an inch, and then flip it over and fold it over again, and that's probably going to be about 5/8 of an inch. It could be 1/2 inch, but that's not really going to make much difference. It should be 5/8 altogether, so 1/4 and 3/8. If it's 1/4 and 1/4, I think you're probably fine. And like I said, having that serged edge does make it really easy to get that first fold at 1/4 of an inch, because my serging is 1/4 of an inch. All right, so once we've got that done, we're going to go in here and we're going to stitch along this edge, the loose edge. We're just going to edge stitch it down all across on both neck pieces. And then you're going to go back in and you're going to edge stitch the top edge. Right there. That is our neck edge finished. And you just have to be careful because this is all on the bias, so you want to be sure you're not getting it stretched out. I did not do it, but you may want to stay stitch that neckline first. I probably should have done that. I just hadn't thought of it. So now here we are. Here's our fold. I've just folded this back the way it was originally, so it's right sides together. Our neck is matching up here. And now we're going to sew this over here. We're going to sew from this corner, from this edge of our neck, straight over to this dot over here, which is right there. That's one shoulder seam. Now this one over here gets sewn all the way down from this corner, from the neck edge, all the way down to this corner down here. And I think we're going to want to press those seams open All right, so that's your second shoulder. Then we're gonna pivot again and go all the way over here. So you have this corner that we just finished, and then you have a dot right here. We're gonna leave this open, that's our armhole. So we're gonna sew from here over to here. And again, I think we're gonna wanna press that seam open. Now the next thing we're gonna do is just our hems. And we're gonna do them all the same. So both sleeves and the body are gonna get hemmed the same way. And it's pretty much the same way we did the neck, with a little bit of a twist. Before we get there though, I just wanted to show you, I have this on a sleeve board right now so you guys can see a little better. But this is the one sleeve that has a seam down the center. And you can see here it has these two little, the seam allowances really poke out. We're gonna wanna trim those off so that they're not crazy bulky when we get to the inside, just like that. We may actually want to trim them off a little more in a minute. So I'm just going to turn this inside out and show you. This is the underside of that sleeve, and we're just going to fold this under like this with our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're going to press it all the way around. Now when we get up here, it's going to press this way, like that. This is the one with the point only, the other one is fine. And then this side is going to get pressed over this way. Now we're going to fold this over one more time. So my feeling is that that is going to get a little bulky. So I think I can see right where that's going to meet. I'm just going to trim off the tip of that corner. I'm not going all the way to the 1/4 inch line. Now I'm going to press this all the way down, and then I'm going to press it over again. So it'll be like that, and then we're going to press it over one more time, like that, and like that. And you're going to do that all the way around. It'll look like that. You might want to give that a really good press so it lays nice and flat so you don't get hung up on that lump when you come around. Now for the other side, and this is going to be the same for all of the seams, all the hems. When you come around here, it's going to look like this. That's going to be folded over like that. And then when you get like this, you're just going to sort of slowly, there, just like that, flip that under so it comes back out to nothing at the seam here. I hope you can see that okay. This side would look like that. And then when you get here to the side seam, you're just going to graduate it out to nothing so your side seam lays flat like that. And you're going to do the same thing at all of the seam points on the other hems as well. Then you're going to do the same thing we did at the neck, which is to sew right along this outside edge and right along this inside edge. When you get here, I'm going to mark mine with chalk so you can see it, but you don't necessarily need to do it this way. When you get around here to where we flatten that seam out, I'm just going to stitch right like that to that center line and then back out like that. So that point is right at your seam line. That is our hems done, and I just wanted to show you guys how that one pointy corner looks when you're finished. And then all of the corners, this is the one we chalked out so you could see. Actually, I think I'll use a different one so you can see how it looks. This is how those internal seam corners come out when you're done. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but my stitching on this one is right here and right here. and then it just goes all the way around that outer edge. Now for my edge stitching, I almost always use a 3.0 stitch because it's a little bit more noticeable, and I think that that's sort of the point of doing edge stitching. The other thing I will say is to get your lines of stitching this close to the edge and consistent, it just takes patience. You just have to go slower than you're probably used to. It's kind of a pain, but it does come out with a much more professional result than if you just zip around and don't have an even stitch right along the edges. Okay, so you can see at these points, this stitching here is pretty much going to hold this seam allowance down and out of our armhole. What we don't have, however, is at the neck edge. This is our neck edge. And we sewed our neck binding down first, our hem down first, and then we sewed these shoulder seams. So this is loosey-goosey, and you're gonna wanna do something to hold that down. Now you can edge stitch right along just along this edge of this. That's gonna give it a nice, solid, secure hold. If you don't like that's gonna show on the right side, however. So if you don't like that idea, you can, from the right side, just go over this stitching that you have, your top edge stitching right here. Just go over that, down here to the corner and back up. And you can see through my fabric here, that's gonna catch just the tip of that seam allowance on the other side. And that will hold it pretty flat. The other way, if you do it the way I showed you on the back side, it's gonna go right, the stitching is gonna go right here. If you're doing something like this, which is white on white, I don't think anybody's gonna see that. So I think I am probably gonna do this. Stitch it right there. And right there. But like I said, you can do it any way you want. You can also just tack it from the back side. Just put a little tack there by hand if you want. And that's it. Our top is finished. Okay, so there you go. Like I said, it's a pretty simple top. I didn't make any specific notes about anything I did differently or anything I had difficulty with. So I assume I didn't have anything like that. I can't think of anything offhand either. I will say that because of the way the pattern is cut, I may have considered shortening it. As it turns out, I didn't really need to. I think though, if you're taller, you may want to lengthen it. I'm going to show you some pictures up here, and on I have it on the right side, but this top is exactly the same on the front and the back, so I don't think it matters. But on one side, you can see that the hemline comes up a little bit high on the high hip. So if you're really tall or if you have a longer waist, you may want to lengthen that a little bit. I couldn't really make out how to lengthen this one, and now I can't remember why, but I love the asymmetrical sleeves. I will say that it's pretty comfortable, although the hemlines on the sleeves and the bottom tend to move around a little bit in kind of weird ways. I don't even know what that means. It's comfortable. It's a little awkward to move around in sometimes. That's all. I did not think I was going to like the way they had us finish this neckline, but at the end of the day, I like it just fine. I think it turns out nicely. Everything else, yeah, everything else is pretty straightforward. I like this top. Like I said before, I made this in a medium weight linen. I think I would like it better in either something that was either lighter, like a handkerchief linen or a lawn, or something that was drapier, like a crepe, or a heavier, like a georgette, something that just has like a little, yeah, a little more drape to it. But I do really like this top, and I have a feeling I'll make this again because it's a really cool top to just throw on over a pair of pants and like be done. Okay, I think that's it for this top. I did want to tell you guys, Vogue came out with their new summer patterns, I guess they are. And because I'm a Rachel Comey fanatic at the moment, I bought both of her new patterns, Vogue 1798, which I think is really cool. It is like a shift dress sort of, but it's got a little bit of a gather in the back. It's got a V neckline, a deeper V in the back. It does have some puffy sleeves. Not sure how, I might just be tired of looking at puffy sleeves at this point, so not sure about that, but I do really like it. And also Vogue 1799. This is actually a pattern for something. It's another like sort of shift dress with some gathers on the side and short sleeves. It's something that I feel like I've seen from other designers, but like I said, I'm in a Rachel Comey moment, so I bought that. I also bought the new Sandra Bezzina pattern, which is Vogue 1805. It's a knit top with a little gather on the side and a necktie detail. And then it's got two versions of a really crop pant, more like a pedal print shirt, like just below the knee pant. The pants are for a stretch woven. So who knows, we might be adding some of those to our queue in the near future. So with the changes we made, June 8th, our sew along will be Simplicity 9044. That's the shirt dress with the pin tucks. And then we'll be off for a week, but we will have that sew along, the t-shirt sew along on Friday the 19th. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled sew alongs. So the 22nd will be the Sewing Workshop Coco, and the 29th will be the Sandra Bezzina sort of tunic thing. That's Vogue 1496. Alright guys, be sure to check out our Facebook page. I'll link to that below so you can keep track of all those sew-alongs and dates. And I will also post the coupon code for Trish Newberry over there. And I don't know if I said this before or not, but that code should be active now. So if you want to go ahead and get that pattern, go ahead and do that, okay? Alright guys, that's it for today. I will hopefully be back for Friday sews this week. I have some questions from you guys to answer. Alright, happy sewing.